So I'm here at Gaunts' house with James D'Angelo, and we're going to discuss and share aspects of life, philosophy, and the universe. James is a sound therapist, sound healer, musician, composer, and the rest I'll let James introduce. So, welcome, James. Thank you for joining me.
Well, Christian, it's
this,
a real joy to be
talking
with you. I haven't seen you such a long time at Gaunts' house. Yes, about the sound healing. It goes back to actually the early 90s when I was asked to do some music workshops by an organization I belonged to, studying philosophical and spiritual ideas. And they said, you're a musician, do some things with us. And I got a real taste for it. And then having seen Jill Peirce, who at that time was perhaps almost the only person in the field of sound healing doing workshops.
That's in the early 90s,
yeah, well...
Late 80s?
Well, it's late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And also, I studied overtoning in New York with David Hikes. I'd come to England in 1984, actually. And all of these factors seemed to come together and said, well, why don't I pursue this? Because I'm on my spiritual path, and why can't I shape something similar, but not the same as a Jill Peirce? So all of these factors in my life as a musician and a writer, and I had the great help of a man called Greg Branson at a place in King's Cross called the Helios Center, and he liked what I was doing and supported it, and it was a kind of proving ground for it. And it's evolved and evolved and evolved to where I've come to a point. If someone said to me, where are you going next? I would say, there is nowhere else to go now. I have found what I believe I can do to empower people to work on themselves through vibration and sound and the voice.
So where is it you feel you take people? What is your sole purpose here? I mean, can you encapsulate that?
Good question. Very good question.
Straight to the point here, James.
I'm taking them back to their real self. Taking them back to that point. There's this incarnate entity who's being channeled by a man named Michael Rachia in this country called Joseph. And he says that actually our heritage is angelic. We were angelic in nature, very light bodies, free to create and uncreate. But some of these angels decided we can do it better than God himself, so to speak. And they became entrapped or ensnared by the material existence. And ever since, in a sense, it's been a spiral going on this earth. So we were trying to make the circuit back to the angelic, to be that pure spirit that can create and uncreate. That says, this is a chair, now look at this. Now it's a table. Now it's a cup. All because they have such power to have the pure play and joy of creation. That's what it's all about. So if I can get the chakras, which are the psychological, the subtle level of an individual, moving closer to optimum through making the sounds that those chakras want to resonate with and become sympathetic to, then I'm moving them more psychologically. Anything that happens physically is a byproduct.
So are we talking about resonance and music of the spheres and harmony in that sense? To get people into alignment with the original code, the original universal harmony.
It's one way you could describe it. I don't think that I am describing it in that way. The fact of the matter is that every one of these energy centers contains an attribute of a human being. And either it's in balance or it's out of balance accordingly. If everything is in balance, then we return to our natural state. And if we're in our natural state, we feel happiness. So people, you know, as well as I, people are searching for happiness everywhere and everything they can find. And the final goal is to have this happiness no matter what's going on outside of yourself. Now that is self-realization in a nutshell to me, that I can feel, the world is in a mess and I'm still feeling fine.
Yeah.
As it were, you know, I mean, as you know.
So the process when you work with people, is it stripping the layers of illusion or their belief structures to actually allow them to reveal who they are? Is kind of that how you do it? And if so, how,
I do it,
how are you doing
I do it through meditation in the end, because any sound that we make externally will continue to resonate within them. And that becomes, in effect, mantra meaning, and I think it's important people know it means to have a free mind, to have a protected mind against all the illusions, as you speak of them, about them. And when they do that, they're moving inwards to that space, and they're starting to shed things and revealing who they are.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
These angelic beings.
So the work is really about releasing who we are not.
Indeed.
To reveal who we truly are.
I think this approach, which in India is called neti, not this, not this, not this, and you keep peeling away to what is left.
Yes.
And then, paradoxically, everything is yours.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
see, then you can see spirit in a table or a chair. You know? If you look at the paintings of Van Gogh, you realize, wow, he did see that. Those paintings, they vibrate. Wow, he's seeing me through that table, that chair.
Yeah. And do you feel he was, that was just his conscious connection, or was he on something?
I don't know. I don't know about being on something. No, I think...
Because when I look at his paintings, I feel like I'm on something. But certainly he is seeing and expressing energy. There's no question in his paintings.
It's how creative artists can somehow get into that state. They have no idea how, but once they're in it, there they are. Yeah. And then they're back again, and they're ordinary mortals, and their life is a mess, but never mind. And they then proceed.
Yeah.
They are the messengers.
Yeah.
They're the messengers that said there's a greater world than you can you possibly imagine. Imagine the most beautiful thing on this earth, and there's something more beautiful than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever beauty is.
Yeah. There's something that's always fascinated me, James. When I was 19, 20, I was meditating in a country house out in Essex. And during that meditation, I heard the sound of angels outside, the music of angels. And there was something that just knew that's what it was, that's what they were, and it was the most exquisite, beautiful sound. And I've never forgotten that experience, that feeling, that emotion. And it's said that everybody in their lifetime experiences that once, perhaps. I just wonder what your take is on that, or your experience of the music of angels.
I wish I'd had such an experience. I haven't. However, I would say the closest that we have is listening to the sounds of the harmonic choir that David Hikes formed in New York, and I was privileged to study with him for a while. It is just, to me, that is the music of the angels. And when I first heard it, immediately my response was, this is the music of the future. It's both modern and ancient at the same time. You can't place it in time, in space. What is it? So, and of course he always chose very resonant, usually cathedral spaces in which to do it. And of course, I wish he had continued, that he no longer has such a choir. It's been a long time now. He's living in France. And no one else has come up to that, to do something with that, to that level. It should be done again.
Is this not what you're supposed to be doing, James?
Well, I can't divide myself too much.
Maybe I'll give you a hand. Maybe we'll do something together.
For me now, composing music, I've just had an album released of my sacred music recorded in Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. Is there a name for the album?
Yes, The Holy City. It's on Gothic Records, and that's a big launch. It's a great achievement for me. It feels like I've come to a place, because I was an on again, off again composer, but over the last 10 years, it's starting to take off, and looking even back and saying, well, what about this piece, and doing revisions and presenting it, and more opportunities are coming. So this is coming to the foreground now. I have an idea to create a music drama on the life of the monk Thomas Merton, who was a very strong spiritual figure and writer of the 20th century, and his own life and how he comes into the monastery and how he interacts with the world, even has a love affair as a monk. So it's quite a story, and see if that can be achieved.
Wow, fabulous.
Yeah.
So the going back to the composing, when did you start composing? As a child? Or?
Improvised as a child at the piano, but I would say I didn't make an official writing it down composition until I was perhaps about 16 or 17 years of age, where I finally put something to paper. But as I say, it was on again, off again. Yes, I have degrees in composition from New York, but I did a lot of higher education, institutional teaching, did a PhD, lots of things that kept diverting me, and then the workshops and the courses and developing that. But I think that's important for my own transformation.
It's your own training, actually.
Well, it's all coming back to me. I mean, I could say that I don't have to be paid, although if you said, come to my workshops, they're free, people would think, I don't know about this person. But I would do it because it's all returning back to me as well as them. I'm receiving.
It cycles round.
It cycles round.
So does it feel like the music and the composing, having taken a bit of a break from it on and off, as you say, you're coming back home in
I'm
one
coming
sense?
back home, and I know that because I've found my style. I have a confidence now that this is the real D'Angelo voice, and that is a wonderful feeling. And not to think, well, I should be doing this or I should be doing that, and these other composers, look what they're doing. Never mind. This is
But
my
this is
voice.
what you've
And
been teaching all these years, is for people to find their voice.
That's right.
So do we teach? Like, I know for myself, we teach what we need to know.
But we've come to a point, certainly in contemporary classical music, where all styles are now thought of as equal. It used to be, if you didn't write like this, you weren't a contemporary composer. Goodbye. We don't want to see you. We don't want to know about you. And I suppose that's true if you enter competitions. They're the people who are judging, they're looking for a particular kind of style.
So James, another aspect that I'm familiar with your work is the Whirling Dervishes.
Yes.
Would you like to
Whirling Dervishes,
this?
amazingly, I've been doing this ceremony since 1968.
1968?
Yes.
Whoa.
My body has just been very kind to me and allowed me to go on making this movement in the ceremony. It was an adjunct to learning spiritual ideas or concepts. At that time, our group in New York was studying Ouspensky, who was, so to speak, descended from Gurdjieff.
Sure.
Then we received it from London. It was already in progress there in 1963. And then when I came to London, I just carried on because the center was there. It's a ceremony of devotion. It's a letting go. It's a surrender. And you surrender your body and say, turn me, turn me, turn me, until you come to the point where you think, I'm not doing this. It is being done to me, and that's it's putting you in a kind of transcendental state. But it is religious, and it is Middle Eastern. We recognize Muhammad by saying his name. We certainly recognize Rumi. People know that name very well through the
Rumi,
poetry.
yeah.
He was not the creator of the ceremony, but the inspiration for it, because he spontaneously did this whirling when he went
Right.
into ecstasy.
Okay.
And his followers saw it, and they developed a ceremony out of it. And it's still going on at a place called Collett House in London.
Yeah.
And since they've advertised it more widely, more and more young people are coming. We find a lot of Middle Eastern people feel they found their tradition.
Wonderful.
And Sufism is being studied more there as a result.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's excellent. I remember Collett House well because
Yeah.
in the early 70s it's where I was initiated into meditation in
You
Collett
did?
House. Yeah.
You were?
With
Oh.
Dr. Rolls.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
know the man,
Yeah,
Dr. Rolls. Yes,
absolutely,
yes.
The man.
Well, he was our teacher. He was our guide.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay.
He was the man.
Excellent.
Of course,
Ah.
he was receiving the knowledge from India. He
Yes.
was put on to a Shankaracharya through the famous Maharishi,
Yes.
who came to the West. He didn't want to follow the Maharishi for some reason, but he met his teacher, and that made a difference. So, yeah.
So is the process of the whirling, is it again about stripping the layers until you end up with just connection to source? Is that the process?
Yes, that's interesting the way you describe stripping away the layers. Of course, that's what occurs at any time when you come back to yourself, the illusions about yourself. But if you don't do the movement well enough, if you're struggling physically, then you identify with the body. Oh, my arm, I can't hold this arm up anymore, or I got this thing in my neck and so forth. So you do have to do it well enough so that you're not preoccupied with the body.
Yeah.
The body's just an instrument that's making you go round and round and round, and some might say that it's working like the wheels of chakra.
Yeah.
There's the same thing going on, and that it's harmonizing all of that. We've never been taught that, but I think it could be well possible.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't realised that you were the whirling master, or whatever they call it.
No, I wasn't a whirling master. I was the one walking round on that occasion where I wasn't whirling. I was just walking.
Oh, yeah, you were guiding or whatever
Well, I won't give the Turkish word, but it's essentially we're a shepherd.
Yes.
And that's our flock, and we have to keep that ceremony in order, that people aren't doing what they're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Getting so
I remember that.
we're like shepherds.
Yeah, no, that was quite an experience. I recall.
Yeah.
James, thank you. It's been really good speaking and sharing life, philosophy, and the universe with you. Really grateful.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To share.
Take care.